What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Sweat, presented by DraftKings. For the next half an hour, we're going to get you ready for all of Sunday's divisional games. It's going to be really exciting. We got all the DFS and sports betting advice you need from our panel of experts. They're going to try and make you a bunch of money on DraftKings. And speaking of a bunch of money, DraftKings is, of course, giving away another $1 million this weekend to whoever takes down our divisional round millionaire contest. Check out who's in the lead after Saturday's games. So, Goss is in front with 165 points. Go with a heavy Bengals stack. He's rostered Saturday's high-scoring player, Aaron Jones. Jones racked up 29 points. The Packers running back doing most of his damage in the passing game. 9 receptions for 129 yards. 0 points from Anthony Firkser doesn't help, and no players left from today's game, so I don't think we're looking at our newest millionaire, but we'll see. By the way, if you missed out on entering our latest Greatest Millie Maker, do not worry. We're going to tell you all about how you can still get in on the action on DraftKings coming up in just a bit. Today on DraftKings. Okay, that's a DFS look at yesterday's games. Here's how it all looked on the sportsbook side of things. Both number one seeds upset with the Bengals and Niners pulling off victories. Public was split on the Cincinnati-Tennessee game, but only 35% of bets were on the under in that one. In game 2, only 29% of the bets were on San Francisco to cover, and only 41% thought it would be high scoring. All right, so now that I showed you what went down yesterday, Emerson Lotzia is going to show you how it's going down today. And with that, I turn it over to the gentleman.
All right, Jessie Coffield, everyone. A Queen's Queen. We are so blessed to share a studio with you. DraftKings contributor Steve Buchanan, Julian Edlow to my left. The virtual handsome Reed T. Fowler is here as well. Let's talk bets. Give us an early edge. Let's talk your favorite bets here today. Steve, start us off, man.
Yeah, so this line has moved once again, but the Chiefs at -1 going up against the Bills. I think this is a great spot to take the Chiefs, basically to win this game. Getting a little bit of a discount on the spread there, as well as the money line is currently set at -120. You can get them at -1 at -110. But look, this is a team that at the beginning of the year was 2-9 against the spread. 2-7 against the spread through the first few games. They are now 9-9. They have been a cover machine. And then you look at the Buffalo Bills, okay? They lost Tre'Davious White. That really hasn't been felt since that happened. The only game that really was a factor is when they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and gave up 33 points. Then they play all these offensive, struggling teams the rest of the way, and everyone's like, look how great this Bills defensive is. It's because they were facing all these teams that can't pass the ball. Falcons, the Jets, all the Panthers, all these teams that are extremely beatable. This is going to be the biggest test without Tre'Davious White in this game, going up against Patrick Mahomes, who has been so good in the second half of the season. So give me the Chiefs at -1.
Because I feel like the Bills have possibly the best safety tandem, Mike, in the league. So that helps. They have one of the best coverage linebackers in Matt Milano. Reed T. Fowler, are the Chiefs or the Bills the right side here? Because Buffalo is one of those few teams that can go blow to blow with Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, what Steve is mentioning is true, right? Tre'Davious White, and look at the Bills' competition down the stretch. To his point, right? Carolina, they played an overrated Patriots team, like we now know, the Falcons, and so it doesn't really rear its ugly head yet. But if you take a look at what this probably comes down to, and why it's so close of a spread, and why I'd probably want to stay away from this game, you're getting Patrick Mahomes to win the game in the playoffs, which it seems tantalizing. Is because both of these teams are playing at their apex right now, right? The Buffalo Bills and how they're play calling, we saw it last week. It was really a masterclass in how to create positive plays on early down and distance. That's not what we saw at Tennessee. It's not what we saw pretty much throughout the playoffs with some of these offensive teams. And what you saw with Buffalo against Kansas City in Week 5 and what they did last week, it was really an impressive showing on how to call a game and put Josh Allen in the right spots to succeed, to run him deliberately as opposed for him to scramble, to get Stefan Diggs the ball, to get Devin Singletary involved. Having said that, you're talking about one of the most explosive offenses and a team that's playing extremely well right now. So I don't have a lean either way. I can see Steve's point, but I'd rather just pick the points because I think this comes down to a coaching matchup. And right now, the trio of Leslie Frazier, Brian Daboll, and Sean McDermott have me feeling a little bit more confident in the Bills as opposed to the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs look really, really scary.
And two of those three are interviewing right now for other head coaching jobs, may not even be around next season. Jules, it's a little easier to bet on Mahomes as he's been there and done that, but the Bills are like a much more well-rounded team this season.
Are they?
Yeah, they are. They have players on both sides of the ball that can frustrate Kansas City, and we saw what they did in Kansas City earlier this season. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So
Whoa.
we'll just roll with it here, and I'll give my best bet, which all week has been
Sure,
the Chiefs.
yeah, go ahead.
Chiefs
You
money
can
line.
steer
I'll
the
steer
show.
the ship here, Emerson. You can sit one out. Chiefs money line has been my best bet all week. So my reaction to Steve will just be agreement as well as giving my play out. Reed called it a master's class by the Buffalo offense last week. I would call it a disaster class by the New England Patriots defense. They did nothing. They were awful. They were completely unprepared. The Bills don't even know how to run the ball. They ran all over the Patriots. 90% of that game was how disgraceful the Patriots defense was, allowing the Bills in negative 10 degrees to score on every single possession. The Chiefs are going to give some resistance at home at Arrowhead. I know it was 38-20 the first time around at Arrowhead. Steve gave the numbers on the Chiefs earlier in the season. This is a different team. It's a different defense. It's a different offense. Mahomes had several turnovers in that game. You don't turn it over in the red zone, get some more points on the board. There was a pick six as well. It's a completely different game. I think the Chiefs are going to be much more prepared for this game. And I love all the Bills love that is coming in, shrinking this spread down. Patrick Mahomes has never been a favorite of shorter than 2.5 points at home in his entire career. This is the cheapest price you will ever find Patrick Mahomes, essentially a pick'em at home at Arrowhead against a team that already beat him this season. So you get the revenge factor in there. I think the Bills are being way overvalued from their win against the Patriots. The Tre'Davious White stuff is going to factor in when Mahomes is bombing it downfield to those receivers. I like Kansas City at home a lot here.
All right, Reed, once again, I'll play devil's advocate. Buffalo feels like, well, they are fantastic in high leverage situations here. We're looking at best third down conversion differential in the NFL, sixth best red zone scoring differential. Those are numbers. Those are stats you can't argue with. I've totally bodied you, but what do you
I'll
think,
argue
Reed?
with stats all day.
Go ahead, Reed.
Cupcake schedule.
I think it's just funny that, and look, again, I'm in agreement with these guys on how Kansas City is a different team, but so is Buffalo. And the fact that we can discount, right, what the Kansas City Chiefs did in Week 5, you can't easily discount what the Buffalo Bills did in Week 5. The Bills were made to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They did it in Week 5, and they put up 38 points on 54 offensive plays. So despite what Patrick Mahomes did or did not do, this is still a team that called that game perfectly in Week 5. Yes, the Bills have not played anybody of recent. I get that. And the Bills have lost to Emerson's team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I get that. But at the same time, when you have this team and a defense now that essentially had the blueprint of beating the Chiefs early in the season and showed everyone for about a month how to beat Kansas City with that two-deep safety, that's what they did in Week 5. So again, the Kansas City Chiefs could easily win this game. I'm not disagreeing with the guys, but I'm saying it's a little close for me to want to pick a side as opposed to just enjoying the game.
And also, the Chiefs have that bad habit of starting slow in the postseason. We've seen the Bills erupting in the first quarter. Reed, you're going to the earlier game today for your best bet. What do you got?
Yeah, it's Cooper Kupp over 8.5 receptions. It's plus money, which is weird to think of that over receptions for a Cooper Kupp, who arguably was the best wide receiver in the NFL this season, is at plus money. I see a lot of quick passes in this game. Look, both of these games are rematches of earlier contests, and we know what Cooper Kupp did in that first matchup. I just think when you take a look at Tampa Bay's defense, it's going to be strong. It's going to try and get to Matt Stafford quickly, right? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers blitz the most in the NFL. 41% of the quarterback's dropbacks are blitzes from Todd Bowles, and they create the second most pressure percentage of every defense. I think when you see Cooper Kupp not do well over the past couple of weeks, which is, to him, at least 10 catches for 100-plus yards, I think it does a couple of things. A, it brings down this number. It gives us a more advantageous number to bet on. And B, it allows Tampa Bay to probably not scheme as much. Like, they're still going to focus on Cooper Kupp. He's going to be a focal point of that defense to stop him. But now it starts to involve, what is OBJ doing? What is Van Jefferson doing? Tyler Higbee, whatever. I'm not too worried about him, but what is Cam Akers doing? So it's less, maybe just a little bit, right? Focus on Cooper Kupp. And then that also means, too, for Sean McVay, how do we get Cooper Kupp involved early? I see a lot of quick passes, early passes in this game to Cooper Kupp. And if you remember, Sean Murphy Bunting is okay as a cornerback, but what these guys do because they blitz so much is they leave their cornerbacks on islands against these wide receivers. I think over getting 9 receptions is going to be a tall order, but I think 9 receptions or more is going to be a tall order. But I do think at plus money for a guy who
we get it.
Whoa!
All right, so we'll see everybody next week. I think that about does it for the show,
All
right?
right, hey, good show today, guys. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait,
Hey,
time out.
I
These
will-
two guys, just because they have the same bet for 2 weeks in
I
a
know,
row.
I know.
I have my time where I'm providing different bets as opposed to just regurgitating what you already said in your stupid podcast.
Yeah, hey, listen, I love it because the secondary's banged up for the Bucs here. We know how strong that Bucs run defense is, so you wouldn't think that the Rams are
But
going
tell
to
me
be
about
highly
Steve,
productive.
tell me
on
why
the
it's
ground.
wrong that Cooper Kupp's
Go
not going
ahead.
to get 9 or more receptions.
Well, first and foremost, look. I mean, you're saying all this tough stuff because you're at home, all right? If you were right here in the studio, you wouldn't be talking like that. So calm down, first and foremost. Second of all, if I'm going to take anything with Cooper Kupp, I'll take over 99.5 receiving yards, okay? There's no guarantee he's going to get 8. Odell Beckham Jr. has been a really strong part of this offense, and quite frankly, we've heard enough about this, okay? We've talked long and hard about how Cooper Kupp's going to go over. I say take the receiving yards. Julian's going to give his quick answer. We're going to go to another segment. Like, there's more to the show that we have to do.
I would take the receptions over the yards because I like the plus money and I think that the volume should be there. But you need the targets to get there. He only has 7 targets in 3 straight games. So Reed's point about the game plan being getting the ball to Kupp early, that has to be true for this to get there because it hasn't been working recently with the emergence of OBJ. My favorite bet on Kupp, I would lay 40 cents. I would take minus 140 just for him to score, get in the end zone. That's been something maybe that you can rely on a little bit more in my mind. But yeah, Cooper Kupp's got to be involved in this game in one way or another.
I'm just excited that I faded the minus 6.5 Cincinnati tail that Steve mentioned, I don't know, ad nauseum this entire week.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you can hear that on Reed's podcast.
Okay, sounds good to me. Reed and I are
Unreasonable
starting a podcast
odds with
soon.
an S is my podcast, though.
Well, we have an S, just not on Twitter. Since we're promoting the podcast,
This
you
is
can find us
wonderful.
at Unreasonable Odd when you listen to the Unreasonable Odds podcast.
Makes zero
one
sense.
Johnny
All right,
Avello from
all
DK
right.
Sportsbook, Anita
Relax,
Marks joined us
relax.
this week. We're promoting our podcast.
Okay, sounds great to me, dude.
Thanks.
All 3 of you have earned a 2-minute break for your hard
Beautiful.
work because
Thank
right
God.
now it's time to get some of Pat Mayo's best bets on the board.
I'm Pat Mayo with your NFL Divisional Playoff Round best bets against the spread for this Sunday. We'll start off with the early game. We got the Rams and we got the Bucs. The Bucs are favored now by 2.5 points at DraftKings Sportsbook. This is down from the 3.5 opener that we've seen a lot of money coming in on the Rams. And I think this is purely due to 2 factors. One, recency bias. We just saw the Rams absolutely annihilate the Cardinals on Monday Night Football, although that was a short week, by the way, with them playing this Sunday. So they do have 1 fewer day, actually 2, because, no, I guess the Bucs played in the early game on Sunday. So it's still an extra day of rest for the Buccaneers. And they're a much older team. So, you're going to need that out there. And the recency bias baked in is that Kyler Murray was absolute trash in that game. And he basically threw the Rams the game. Tom Brady's not going to do that this week, by the way, just so you know. Even if there's extreme pressure in his face, it's not going to end up looking like the Kyler Murray situation from Monday night. And then the number 2 is that the Bucs receiving core is completely depleted. Obviously, no Antonio Brown. We know what happened there. No Godwin, but now it's even looking like Brashad Perriman and Cyril Grayson might not even go for this Bucs receiving core. So what does that mean? It means that everyone is going to bet the Rams this week. Big mistake. The Rams are a Jekyll and Hyde team. 4-5 on the road. Yeah, they've had success against the Bucs, but the Bucs at home so far this season have been absolutely dominant, not only from an outright perspective, but against the spread. And now they don't even need to win by more than a field goal. A field goal will suffice for the Bucs in this game. So I love TB12, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, and Rob Gronkowski to really wrap this up, cover the 2.5, win this game, head off to the NFC Championship game. Then, in the later set of games, you got the Chiefs -2 at home against the Buffalo Bills. This number's been wavering between 2 and 2.5 all week at DraftKings Sportsbook. So you can probably catch a 2.5 if you wait long enough. You want to take the Bills, but I don't even really care because I'm still taking the Bills at +2 in this game. The gap between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, listen, Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback. We're not going to, fool around with that, but the gap isn't all that substantial. And then when you look everywhere else on the field, except for maybe the offensive line where the Chiefs do have an advantage in that situation, but then you have a completely mobile quarterback and Josh Allen on the other side of the ball to really negate that, extend plays and take off running down the field. The defense, that lies with the Buffalo Bills. The defensive line, I still prefer the Bills' defensive line because they don't need to blitz every single time in order to generate pressure in this scenario. Now, we have seen Josh Allen struggle coming off of great games, and maybe there is recency bias baked into this line because of what I just said about the Rams. The same could be applied to the Bills. But here's the thing. The Chiefs have been, listen, they're first in EPA per play, but not by as wide of a margin as they've been in years past. I feel like the last 3 years of history that we have with the Kansas City Chiefs is being baked into this line to be the -2. I think that these teams are even. This game should be a pick'em. We know that the Bills constructed their entire offseason for one thing, to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's what they are geared to do. In the +2, hey, you're giving me 2 points. I will take the extra 2 points with the Buffalo Bills on the road in Kansas City. Those were the best bets for the divisional round at DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Pat Mayo.
All right, thank you, Pat. As I mentioned earlier, if you missed out on our millionaire contest for this weekend's action, don't worry. There's still plenty of ways to win on DraftKings today, and one of them is by entering our featured Sunday-only contest, the NFL 1.5 million Sunday special, with a top prize of $500 grand, which is the same as 500,000. Cool. Draft your team from just today's two games and compete for 1.5 million in total prizes. All right, here to help me fill out all of those money-making lineups, DraftKings contributors Jeff Ulrich and Pierce D.
Why aren't we on TV anymore? I don't get it.
Okay,
I don't know. I love seeing Jessie get rattled. This never happens. It's amazing.
All right, we're starting with quarterback, whose salary makes him a must roster for the following positions. Jeff, who you
That's
going
not going to help.
Patrick Mahomes averaged 71% completion rate over his last 5 games, 17-2 touchdown rate. People forget this guy averages 6 rushes per game as well. Been more consistent than Josh Allen. Take the discount. Everyone's high on the Bills. Mahomes will be lower on.
Pierce, you don't agree. You're going with Josh Allen.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Josh Allen. Kansas City has played well of late, but you got to look at the game log. They haven't played any tough teams. A Green Bay team led by Jordan Love was one of their tougher competition. Los Angeles Chargers had no problem putting points on these guys. Denver, in the final week of the season, put 24 points. Joe Burrow scored 34 points. The Buffalo offense runs through Josh Allen. Josh Allen will get there on the ground and in the air. He's going to be the best quarterback on the slate.
All right, Pierce, how about at running back? Who are you going with here?
I'll go a little risky here with Leonard Fournette, but his player prop for rushing yards is at 50 yards, which isn't the highest, but that leads you to believe that he's going to be on the field for a significant amount of time. And if he is on the field for a significant amount of time, he's going to get the goal line carries. And I think it's all about, with these running backs, just getting a running back that's going to get in the end zone and also getting a little bit of a receiving floor. We know that the Rams will allow receptions to running backs. So you get a receiving floor, you get some yards on the ground, you get those important goal line carries. Fournette is going to be my guy on a slate with bad running backs.
All right, Jeff, what's your strategy here?
It's so weird, but like Cam Akers may be the most secure running back you can target here. He played on over 500,000. Oh no, I mean 53% of the snaps last week. 17 carries for 55 yards, but he also had that big screen pass. He is the more versatile back. He'll get used more in the pass game here. Tampa allowed 5.1 yards per carry down the stretch. They allowed the second most receptions to opposing running backs. I think you're going to see a lot of Cam Akers in this game. And like I said, he might be the most secure, safe running back, which is crazy considering he didn't have an Achilles like 4 months ago.
All right, how about at wide receiver, Jeff? You like Stefan Diggs here?
I do. I just think like you have to look at the matchups here. And I can't remember who it was. I think it was Buchanan who mentioned, the Tre'Davious White being out. And I think that will help Tyreek Hill. But I think this is a spot, too, where you're just going to have to see Steph Diggs come up with 10, 12-plus targets for Buffalo to win this game. And he does have the better matchup against the KC secondary. They allowed the 11th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers in this spot. So, Hill, Diggs, you can roster them both. But if I'm picking one, I'm going to pick Steph Diggs. I just think there's a better chance for a big game there with the matchup.
Pierce, you're going with the Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I'm going to mention Cooper Kupp and hope that Steve doesn't jump on and start yelling at me for talking about him too much. But I agree with Steve. The yardage route is the way to go with Kupp. Tampa has allowed ranks 27th in yards after the catch. Kupp has 850 yards after the catch. That's after he's caught the ball. He's in a smash spot. He's going to get plenty of targets in this game. If you can afford him, which you can.
All right, Pierce, where are you going for tight end?
Rob Gronkowski. I know a lot of people are going to overreact. Oh, well, Jalen Ramsey's going to shut him down. And people are looking at game tape from 2018 Pats versus Jaguars. I think Gronk's going to be just fine. We believe that Tampa is going to have to pass the ball in this game, so who's he going to pass it to? Of course he's going to go to Gronk. Gronk's going to get red zone looks. I hope that the field overlooks him and he goes under own.
Jeff, going with a safer pick, Travis Kelce here.
Yeah, I mean, look, Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelce. I really think that, like, you could roster both of them on this slate. I think they both have upside. But, again, it's like you're forcing me to choose. Travis Kelce has the better upside. I mean, we have seen this guy explode for over fantasy points already this year. He's done numerous times over 30 points over the last couple games. And, you know, the Bills, they have some good coverage linebackers, but Travis Kelce has been making his living just making these good coverage teams look silly over the last little bit. He's got 3 touchdowns versus the Bills in his last 2 games against them. I think the better upside, if you're just paying up for one of these tight ends, is to go with Travis Kelce. And I do think Gronkowski's going to be a little bit more popular. Again, got to think about these ownership percentages on a 2-game slate. I think you get better leverage with Travis Kelce lineups.
All right, Jeff, hit us with a value play here.
Yeah, Van Jefferson of the Los Angeles Rams. I really like this play. Everyone's big on OBJ. I get it. He's been kind of the touchdown machine down the stretch, but he's been more the red zone target. Like, if we're looking for a big play here, Van Jefferson, 16 yards per catch this year. He's on the field for over 50% of the snaps. He is part of this Rams offense, and everyone's going to be, you know, the Bucs now know about OBJ. Like, everybody, it's no surprise that Odell Beckham is getting used here. I think you're going to see Van Jefferson show up with a couple big plays. If he does break one for a long touchdown, he's going to vault yourself over all these Odell Beckham lineups, who, again, is going to be way more popular on our 2-game slate than Van Jefferson.
All right, Pierce, your value pick.
Jerick McKinnon, you got to go cheap at running back. If you go cheap at receiver, quarterback, or tight end, you can pretty much destroy your lineup. But one of these cheap running backs at a garbage position today, you can get away with if they don't have a big game, or if they just get a touchdown, or if they have a decent receiving floor, which McKinnon showed in his last game.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Let's now send it back over to Emerson Lotzia, who's standing by to get a former player's perspective on today's playoff games.
All right, another Sunday means another conversation with my favorite NFL lineman of all time, Ross Tucker. So, dude, we're halfway through the divisional round. The early game today, it pairs up the Rams and the Bucs. This is a game you're actually going to be in the booth for. Tampa Bay, a slight favorite here, but what are the chances you like Stafford to upset the Bucs? Because he beat them back in week 3.
Well, first of all, it's a gigantic game because the Bucs have the opportunity to finish number 1 in my power rankings for press box food today. So really going to be curious to see what they bring to the table. We know about the Bananas Foster at halftime. That's established. It'll be the pregame meal that will be the tail of the tape. As for the secondary thing, that's not quite as important, the actual game. Man, this is a tough one. Such a tough call. I think I'm going to lean to the Rams, and I'll tell you why. They're getting healthier, and the guys that they acquired, specifically Von Miller, Odell Beckham Jr., they look good Monday night. Cam Akers coming back from a torn Achilles in 6 months, which is bananas. He looked even better, even just from 1 week. Meanwhile, Tampa, they're kind of beat up. Jensen got hurt last week. Tristan Wirfs got a pretty bad high ankle sprain. And then even on this defensive side of the ball, I know they played last week, but watching the tape, didn't love what I saw from either Levante David or Shaq Barrett. I'll take the Rams, the points, and the healthier team.
Yeah, plus Tampa Bay, can't seem to shake off those injuries. And we all know you disrupt Brady, right? Pressure up the middle. Who do the Rams have here, Mr. Tucker? We all know Aaron Donald. That's a scary dude coming at you.
Yeah, maybe the best guy for pressure up the middle we've ever seen. Even if he doesn't get a sack, he gets in the quarterback's way. He affects him. There's no question Donald will be a factor in this game. It's unbelievable how dominant he is.
Yep. Tampa Bay, by the way, 7-1 ATS in their last 8 home games. Another small spread here is between Buffalo and the Chiefs, so it's a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. This one also pairs up a couple quarterbacks who are coming off 5 touchdown performances. That's the first time that's ever happened in NFL history here. Who do you think comes out on top in this one?
Well, it feels to me like this is the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
And I do believe the winner of this game will go to the Super Bowl with the way these teams are playing right now. They were unbelievable last week in the wild card round. It feels to me like it's the Bills' time, like it's their time. But the Chiefs are just so tough at home to beat. You know, I'll say this. As a former Bill, and it's the team I have the greatest affinity for out of the 5 I played for, my heart is with them. But my brain's going to go with the Chiefs, especially since they're playing at home, especially with the betting line being so small. I got to roll with Kansas City. So either my bet wins or my heart wins. So I'm kind of covered, dude.
Yeah, you know, Bills beat them, though, right? Beat Kansas City back in week 5. And I feel like the Bills are a more well-rounded team this time around.
They are. I agree. I feel like the Chiefs are much better on defense now than they were then. Much better. You're right, though, because you think about Singletary and the way the Buffalo Bills have been running the football. Look, it's a toss-up game. The betting line tells you it's a toss-up game. I could go either way. I'm going to take the home team, but could very easily be the Bills. Let me use announcer cliche 101. This is going to come down to whoever gets the ball last, Emerson.
All right, that sounds fantastic. How about a game total you like today? Either the over or under on.
I'm going to go under in the Bills-Chiefs.
Oh.
That's a really high number. I think people are overreacting a little bit to what we saw from Josh Allen last week. I don't think the Bills will score a touchdown every time they get the ball or kneel down. And Mahomes was unbelievable as well. But the thing that people don't talk about as much, the Chiefs and Bills are both really good on defense. I mean, they have both been really good, especially over the last 10 weeks or so. So if I had to take a total today, I'll go under, believe it or not, Chiefs, Bills. I just don't think they're going to put up those type of video game numbers again.
Yeah, that was 58 points combined when they met back in week 5. How about the land of fantasy? Who do you think is in line for a big day in DFS?
So I mentioned him earlier, but I'm going to say Cam Akers. I don't know how he's doing this off the torn Achilles 6 months ago.
It's incredible.
But you look at him in week 18. In the final game of the regular season against the Niners, he didn't look that great to me. I mean, he looked like he was okay. He looked like a guy coming off an Achilles. But last Monday night, the way he looked against the Cardinals, explosive, fast, I think he'll be even more like that today. I'm going to go Cam Akers. I think that Sean McVay knows they need to try to run the ball, control the ball against the Bucs.
I love it. I'm also going to love listening to you in the booth for that one for Rams Bucks, dude. So Ross Tucker, always a pleasure. Until next week, I hope the food puts a smile on your face there in the press box.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most significant thing that's going to take place today is what the Bucks bring to the table in the press box. Check my social media so you see what it is.
Absolutely, will do. Adios, man.
Up as always, guys. So Ross likes Cam Akers to go off today, but you know who went off last week? That would be Josh Allen in the wild card round against the Patriots. The Bills quarterback was the highest scoring player on DraftKings in the opening round, throwing for more than 300 yards, 5 touchdowns, adding 66 yards on the ground. That's good for nearly 42 DraftKings fantasy points, and he hopefully made it rain cash for a lot of you. Now to tell us who will be this week's Josh Allen, we welcome back Julian Edlow, Steve Buchanan, and a virtual Reed Fowler. So hook us up with those Make It Rain picks, a DFS play who's absolutely going to make it rain cash for you today. Reed, we want yours first.
Yeah, Travis Kelce, seen 21% of the looks. He's got a touchdown upside, 14 red zone targets this year. So Travis Kelce.
Jules, who are you going with?
We're going with Tyreek Hill. I'm looking at the slate right now to confirm he's $6,600. He should be like $2,000 more. We just talked about it. Tre'Davious White is out. That is going to come into play in this game. Tyreek Hill is going to have a big game.
All right, Steve, who's going to have a big game?
Yeah, another player I'm surprised is that as cheap as they are is Dawson Knox at $4,900. This is somebody who's been active, who when he's been active every single game this season has at least one red zone target. He has 2 or more in 7 of those games. If Josh Allen is throwing in the red zone, Stefan Diggs, Dawson Knox, those are the top 2 options there. $4,900 for Knox is just way too cheap. 79% reception rate allowed by the Chiefs to opposing tight ends. $4,900, that's a steal for Dawson Knox.
All right, good stuff. That's a show, everyone. We do this Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. Eastern until noon and talk all the sports. So we'll see you again next week for Conference Championship Sunday. Enjoy the games today.